What's up, guys? This is Johnny and Hillary, owners of Pure Bliss, and you're listening to the Pure Bliss podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, and how to be a boss.
We want to start this podcast to help anyone that's unsure about starting a business, show you how we started ours, tell you all the tips that we have learned, and take you on our journey with us to help motivate and inspire you along the way.
All right, so we have another very special guest with us today, Rebecca Perry. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, so I'm Rebecca Perry. What do you want to know about me? Well, I am a mom to a crazy 3-year-old little boy. You guys know what toddler life is like.
Yes.
And also a business owner. So I am a VP with Arbonne International and have just sort of started a new clothing line as well. So I don't really know what's up with that, but anyways, that's kind of me in a
That's
nutshell.
cool.
Yeah, so you're busy.
Yeah, it's like everyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I have to say that like being busy is not something that like I look at as like a problem or something to complain about. I'm lucky that I am busy, that I have I prefer to say I have a full life.
Yes, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, awesome.
Yeah. So you say VP for Arbonne.
Yes.
What is that?
I know. So my exact title is Executive National Vice President, which means
Fancy.
nothing.
Fancy.
Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
If you do, I'll beep it out.
Okay, so I won't. Okay. But it means nothing to anyone outside of Arbonne, right? But basically what that means is I have reached the top 1% of our company. So I have basically an online health and wellness franchise that spans right around the globe. So
That's cool.
that's it.
That is amazing.
So exciting.
Yeah, that is unreal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Arbonne is?
Okay, so Arbonne is exactly that. So we are a health and wellness company. We've been around for 42 years now, which is surprising to a lot of people. We actually are a Swiss heritage brand, so all of our products adhere to the European Union guidelines, which I'm sure, as you know, doing what you know, are the strictest in the world. So basically our entire philosophy is to empower people to live a better life with clean health, nutrition, beauty products. That's kind of what we're all about, just empowering people to feel better, look better, whatever the case might be.
That's cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you get started into this?
So my journey, I actually started as a product user. So I was literally dying from toxic mold poisoning. Yes.
Oh my God.
It was actually crazy. It was nuts.
You had no idea, obviously.
No. So I was really, really, really sick to the point that I actually had to go off work on disability. I couldn't get out of bed. I saw every single specialist in this city. I had every kind of scan you can possibly imagine. I actually ended up having surgery. They had to go in with a scope because they were we can't figure you out. You are very ill, but we can't figure it out. So It was crazy. It actually got to the point, that's why I say, I don't look at being busy as a bad thing. I'm thankful I have a very full life. I can actually get out of bed and do things because for years I actually couldn't.
It's all about mindset.
Yeah, it really is. So anyways, it got to the point, where I started to become actually depressed because I was I used to say to my husband, I'm dying. It's just a matter of time until I go in for my next scan or whatever the case might be. And it's going to be one of those stories you hear where they're yeah, you have a tumor that we didn't see. And you have a week to live. In my head, that's where I was. And then last going off, my surgeon who did the surgery with the scope was we're going to send you to see a psychiatrist. And I was what? It felt like I was in a nightmare.
Oh
They were telling you
it
you were
just didn't
crazy.
make sense. You were just what's going on?
It literally felt like I was I'm not crazy. I will never forget sitting in her office and her being no, sweetie, we don't think you're crazy.
Oh, classic, right?
But sometimes people think they're sick, but they're not actually sick. And I'm
oh my God.
You think I'm creating this in my head?
Yeah.
What? So anyways, I refused to go see a psychiatrist.
Oh my God.
And so what happened was we went to do some renovations on our house, and basically we found out that the original walls of our entire home were filled with black mold. And instead of getting rid of the mold, they just built walls on top of. Yeah. So that's why I was so sick. So anyways,
just living in mold.
Yeah. And
Oh my God.
it was very, like, it was to the point that my body had gone toxic. So I would have died if we didn't
Do
discover
renovations.
it. Yep. So anyways, so
That's insane.
That is crazy.
I'm
yeah.
like mind blown right now.
Yeah,
I'm literally
same.
like looking at you like,
Same.
And nobody else was experiencing this.
well, it was just me and my husband at the time, and that's how it kind of works. Like if it happens with things like mold and asbestos and things like that. I mean, we all know of, like, you know, office buildings where some people will get sick from, say, asbestos, and then some people won't. So it's kind of it's like luck of the draw. So
Yeah.
he was fine
was
with
lucky.
it. I wasn't.
Yeah.
So anyways, needless to say, I had to go on a crazy strict detox program, which involved, like, it was all handled through doctors and naturopathic doctors and the whole 9 yards. And so part of it was my, like, basically it started out with, like, my skincare and my cosmetics. My naturopathic doctor, she's like, so obviously you're someone who really likes, you know, like, taking care of herself and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm extra. That's right. Yeah. And I'm
like writes
In a nice
extra
way.
down on the
like,
notepad.
I'm like, you can say it. It's okay. Like, I don't care. I'm not offended. And so she's like, basically was like, you need to start considering what you're putting on your body. Like, the cosmetics you're using, the skincare you're using, like, all of these things, they're getting absorbed into your bloodstream. And a lot of them here in North America, a lot of people don't know, but, like, there are so many known carcinogens that are used in products in North America that the average person, unless you're in the industry, you don't know these
Nobody
things.
checks that anyway.
No.
Nobody checks that,
Nobody
right?
does.
No.
So anyways, I was like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? So anyways, it was really weird. It was like, she didn't tell me to use any particular product, but I'd be like, well, what about this one? Or what about this one? And she'd be like, no, that's garbage. Oh my God, you fell for that. Oh, that's greenwashing, or blah, 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 blah. So then I was like, I came across this Arbonne, and I was like, well, what about this? And I just expected her to tell me off like usual and be like, you're an idiot. And so I was like, what about this? And she was like, oh, I love Arbonne. She was like, they're incredible. Like, their ingredients are amazing. 100% go for it. So I was like, okay. But I really wasn't excited to start using the products. Like, I loved what I was using, and I was a product snob. Like, I was like, I only use Chanel lipstick. I only use, like, this skincare. I only use whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, oh my God, like, this is, but it was literally a matter of life or death. So I was just like, well,
I'll try it.
I
Obviously,
would
I'm
rather
gonna do
be
it.
alive
Yeah.
than, you know. So it was weird because I never forget, like, the first crock of cream I used, I literally fell in love with it. It was like the first time that I used something to the bottom where I was, like, scraping it out. And I was like, what? Like, so I was so pleasantly surprised by the products and loved the products. And they were obviously very instrumental in my recovery, along with, like, a slew of other things, of course. And yeah, so then the girl that I was buying them from, she knew that I have a background in business. So she kept being like, you should take a look at this business. You should do it. And I was just like, oh my God, seriously. Like, in my head, like, if I could have said what I wanted to, I would have been like, that is so beneath me. Like, get a life. Like, I have my honors in business. Like, don't you know, like, basically, like, don't you know who I am? Like, I would never do this. And then, so every now and then she'd ask me again, like, if I was ordering product or whatever, and I'd just be like, I would either just ignore the question and just change the subject, or I would see her message and be like, I'm not even opening that. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I came home. At this point in time, I had gone back to work, and I came home from work. It was like a crazy stressful day. And she had sent me another one of these messages, like, asking me to take a look at the business. And I was like, oh my God. So I came home, and my husband's like, how's your day? I was like, it was nuts. Like, there was, like, lawsuits going on at work. Like, it was just, like, crazy, like, stressful. And I was like, and then to top it all off, I was like, so-and-so writes me again and asked me to take a look at her stupid little business. Like, I was like, I swear to God. I was like,
audacity.
I was like, if she asks me one more time, I was like, I'm going to lose it. Like, I'm going to lose it. And my husband is, like, literally the most chill person in the world. And I mean, let's be real, guys are just way more, like, they're way more sensible than us. We're so dramatic. And
like,
so he was
nonchalant.
just, like, he was like, well, why don't you just listen to her? And then she won't ask you ever again. If you're sick of her asking you, just listen. And I was like, oh yeah.
Like, good idea.
Oh my
What a
God.
novel idea. So
Yeah.
I remember writing her back, and it was seriously something along the lines of like, sure, I'll listen to about your stupid little business. Like, it was really not a nice response. And she was just like, yay, like, what about tonight? I was like, sure, fine, whatever. Like, I'll listen
Get
to
it
you
over
tonight.
with.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, that's what it was. Like, let's get this over with so I can move on with my life, and you will never ask me again.
I hope she hears this.
And I think she has. She's heard this story,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But anyways, so I'll never forget like going downstairs to my office and being like, okay, to my husband, like, I'm going down for my business meeting to learn all about this amazing opportunity. Like, I was just like, anyways. And I went downstairs and I came back up like half an hour later and I was like, I'm effing doing this.
She's like, sold.
I know. I was like, you know what? I was like, this is going to change our goddamn lives. I was like, just watch me. We are doing this. And my husband was like, what? Hold on. Like,
what happened
there?
She's a good salesperson.
In the last 20 minutes.
It was crazy. So then literally the next day I started my consultant account and like I never looked back. Like and having a business background, I was actually half like pissed that they didn't teach us about the network marketing business model when I was going to school. Like, I was like, why didn't they teach us this? Yeah. If I had known this that it existed, I would have just done this.
Yeah.
But I'm just a dinosaur. Like, they teach it now in business schools everywhere. Like, it's taught at Harvard Business School. So it's just, I'm old.
Well,
So
even
they
when
weren't
I
teaching
did
it.
it, like, I feel like I've
I
come
feel
to
like I
you
didn't
guys
learn
and
that.
I've been like, I feel like I've learned so much from just what I've been doing on my own business-wise than what I did in school.
Yeah, I did
And
business
I've-
too, and I feel
You
like
always
I
learn
learned
more
a lot.
Yeah, I
hands-on.
finished 3 years ago.
Wow.
So
I'm not
like,
telling you guys not to go to school.
Yeah,
But I am.
I'll do what you guys want, but there's other
I
opportunities.
feel like you learn more in the real world.
But did they
Absolutely.
teach that to you when you were in business? No.
No.
No, and I like recently graduated and nothing. Like we had a couple social media marketing courses that I did as electives. They weren't mandatory.
Yeah.
And even then I was like, I've learned so much more from just branching out on my own, like YouTube videos, like online courses and things like that.
100%.
I feel like
Yeah.
everything in there is just like scenarios that they make up. It's nothing real life. Like it's stuff that like it's not gonna happen. And if it do, it's very rare. Like
Not relatable.
yeah, like it's not relatable in everyday life. Anything that they
Just
teach.
very behind the times.
Yeah, like they need
Yeah.
to update their programs.
I think
for
you were
sure.
saying something about sheep or something one time.
Oh my god.
How much
yes,
wool
I'm
you could
just-
get off them or something. I don't know.
Yes, which is important for some businesses,
But
but like not
Yeah.
mine.
it should be more relatable. That's
Yeah.
all.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. You know that some of the case studies you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I know.
And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
But isn't
Like,
it
I don't
crazy
need
how it
this.
like changed your mindset? Because you were like before you were like, oh, I have a business degree. This is beneath me, and then you came out of that being like, I have a business degree and I didn't know this. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
It's you have so much faith in the system and how like what you think it's supposed to be like, and then you get into the real world or see other opportunities, and you're like, what did I think I was before this? It's almost like very humbling because that's how I felt when I stepped out of school and like started doing things in the real world. I was like very humbled.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't have it all because I have a piece of paper. Like, you know, it's just you just don't realize.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that also helped me understand how smart it was because I understood business.
Yeah.
And I immediately that night, like I was going to like Wall Street Journal, I was going on like Forbes website, I was going to all of these credible sources and researching it more myself. And I was like, this is so smart. Like,
Yeah.
what?
I was living
Yeah.
under a rock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's what they want you to know. It's what the government wants you to know too. A lot of it.
100%.
Like work your 9 to 5 Monday to Friday.
That's what they want. They
Exactly.
want us to be
Yeah.
like what they want us to be. They don't want.
Sheep.
Yeah, they want us to be sheep.
Essentially. But
Yes.
yeah, they call it like the 40-40-40 plan. Have you guys heard that?
I have heard of it, yeah, but I forget exactly what it is.
So it's like you work 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to retire on 40% of what you were making, which for most people is never
Yeah.
enough to begin with.
yeah,
No.
it's a system they got created to make money off you. Like they
Yeah.
don't want you to get ahead,
Exactly.
and that's a fact. Like that's
Yeah.
it. The
And you're
government do
miserable
not.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most people.
And the same thing goes when it goes to like the product stuff too. Like they don't want you to know this because it's cost a lot less money to make products that use garbage ingredients that are essentially waste products in a lot of cases.
I think I remember watching one of your
Like-
stories about what was in some of the stuff.
It
But
was
like it was government approved. So
I
like,
know,
why did they
why?
approve it?
Yeah.
Because they probably got like a pile of stock in this company, and they're just gonna make like millions off it.
100%.
At what point, I was just curious, like, because you said that you're working full time for a business and then you started this on the side, I guess.
Yep.
At what point were you like, okay, it's time to dive like full-fledged into this? Like, when did you feel like confident enough in yourself and like this choice that it was like, it's time to put this first versus the other job?
So see, it was hard for me because I was like at my job I was working before Arbonne, I was making like 6 figures. So it wasn't like
Hard decision.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like, ooh, like, I don't know. Well, not even that, but it was like, it took me, so after about a year of working my business, I actually made the decision to cut back to part-time because I hate mornings. Like I despise them. So
I'm the opposite.
I hate mornings.
Like,
Yeah.
mornings is like an Olympic sport for me. Like, I'm like, you may as well put me in the Olympics. Like, ask me to get out of bed early. Like, people are like, are you one of those like 5 a.m.s? I'm like, no. Do you want to know what I will get out of bed early for in the mornings? Nothing. So let's just leave it
Well, we're
there.
being honest here.
I love the
like-
honesty.
Yeah. So I would work late at night and stuff to work on my business because obviously I had to fit it in somewhere. But yeah, so I cut back to part-time. I never forget. I went into my boss and I was like, so I'm going to cut back to part-time hours because I'm also very good at like figuring out how to run businesses very like efficiently and like processes and stuff like that. So I had my particular job like down to a science. Like what used to take the lady that I replaced who retired probably, I used to be able to do what she did in like half the amount of time because I just had all these systems in place.
So your quality of work wasn't going to go down because you
No,
cut back.
and he knew that. So
Right.
I went into him and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need to be here all the time. Like, I'm just going to cut back to part-time. And he's like, okay, but you understand, like, if you cut back to part-time, your salary is going to be cut back to. And I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. And he was like, how? And I was like, my Arbonne business. And he's like, what? That Arbonne business? Like, he's like, you don't actually make money at that, do you? And I was like, I actually do. And he's so funny, like an engineer, like very like factual, whatever. And I was just like, come into my office right now. I will show you my recent pay. And he was like, okay. So he came in and I pulled it up on my computer and he was like, what? He's like, can I come work for you?
Oh my God.
I was like,
You're like, yes, actually.
What was your other job?
So I basically ran like a really large construction and manufacturing firm. So they did like all the engineering, all the manufacturing, and then also did parts of like construction. So like building automation systems and all that kind of stuff and just industrial equipment. So it was like, I didn't hate it. Like I liked the people I worked with and it was definitely not boring because outside of like the engineering and like the physical labor, I like ran everything. And it was like a multi-million. Like we were doing like every hospital in this city or like schools or like anything like Voisey's Bay, all that stuff. Like we worked all those jobs.
So you were like a construction manager?
Not even a manager. Like I was basically like the CFO and then I just got dragged into doing like a ton of other stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just because they're like, you know, it's like a job like, oh, you're doing such a great job. Now you get to do this too. Like, oh,
Once
really?
you get
Yeah,
something down,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you had the time, so you want to like help out in
Yeah.
other areas, and that's how it goes.
So it was literally just like everything, which like for me, I didn't mind because once again, I like being like, I'm not the type of person who just wants to sit around and be like, oh, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, I'm very much the same.
Time goes
Yeah.
slow that way.
Yeah. So that's what I was doing. Yeah. And then so so right before I had my son, so that was like probably 2.5 years into my business, I like fully retired from my corporate job. So instead of going off on mat leave, that's what I did. And it was funny actually because they had like a retirement party for me and there
That's
were people
hilarious.
who've been working there for like 30
Oh,
years.
yeah.
I was like, they definitely want to go out there and like slash the cars on my Mercedes-Benz right now. Like they definitely hate me. Like, because it was like, happy retirement.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, guys. I really do love you. Please don't hate me.
But you worked for it, I'm
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and it was
it's
nice. And then so my husband got to take the parental leave, which is like incredible
Yeah.
because he was home all the time. And it was just like, that was one of the biggest gifts that the business has given me so far, honestly, was like
Time.
that. Yeah.
Time
Just,
time
like,
is everything.
it
Time is your
really
biggest asset.
is. It is.
That is literally all you have.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like nothing else really matters as much. Like, you know,
100%.
time is constantly going and
And just
eventually
enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I know.
you have to enjoy what you do. That's the biggest thing.
I know. I
in life.
almost posted something earlier today and it was like, love what you do and you'll never have a problem with Mondays. But it's true. Like people who complain about Mondays, I'm like, I can't relate to you.
No, they hate
No.
their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I say to you guys all the time, I'm like, I'm so excited to come into work, and we weren't gonna come in like today, and I was like, and then Hillary's like, come over. I was like, okay, yeah. I I'm like, I want to do something. Like I constantly want to be at something because like when you
Yeah.
see the value in what you're doing and it's like meaningful to you, it's like you don't mind spending time on what you do.
Yeah.
Well, it's not work, it's fun. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we
You're
always talk about
passionate
here. Everyone
about
here
it.
always
Yeah.
loves coming into work. Like, it's always a fun time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's so
every day's a good day.
important. And that being said too, like a lot of people who are very successful in Arbonne don't leave their jobs. It was just what I wanted to do. But like my mentor, for instance, is a pediatric emerge nurse and she still works. Like, you know how nurses do like the point whatever. So she's a 0.7 nurse and she does it just because she's like, the reason why she got into nursing was because she loves taking care of people.
That's different,
She
yeah.
loves working with children. And she got to the point where she was like very resentful of her job and just didn't want to be at the hospital and was burned out. And now because of her business, she's like, I don't work overnights. Like she dictates to
She
them.
has faith in it now and
Yes.
does what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
she
she's
calls
like-
the shots now. Like,
Yeah. And she's like, it brought the joy back into nursing for me. And she's like, I will never stop being a nurse.
Yeah, it's like putting your passions first and saying
Yeah.
like, what do I want from this? And like, am I getting what I want from it? And if you're not, like, just ask for what you want, kind of thing too.
So it's nice. So for some people, it just kind of takes that pressure off because when you don't have to do something to pay the bills, it really does bring like the joy back
Yes.
into it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, so there are lots of people too. I always like to clarify that. I'm like, you don't have to hate your job to do this. Like if you do, then sure you can do this and leave your job if you work and all that kind of stuff. Like if you work to build a successful business, but not everybody does that.
No.
So
It's obviously still a lot of work you got to do, like, in the evenings and
yeah,
weekends and stuff like that to get to a point that you can leave your job anyway.
exactly.
And you got to
It's
want
like
to do
anything.
it. Yeah.
It's like any business, right? Yeah.
You got to put the work in.
yeah.
How many hours would you say when you were making that transition from, say, like working part-time at your other job and like investing the time into figuring out Arbonne,
Yeah.
how many hours a day would you say that you worked? Like work being like doing your research on the like other businesses, like how to sell, all that stuff? Like, would you say you clocked in a lot of hours at first or did it just kind of come naturally to you?
Well, yes. So definitely you do work harder in the beginning, obviously, because it's new. It's a new skill set you
Information.
need to learn. Like, and once again, like I had to learn how to run my organization in a very efficient way, which I have like down pat now. So it's great. But like I always use the analogy, it's kind of like with any business really. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it's like the airplane analogy. So it's like an airplane uses like 70% of its fuel to get off the ground. And then once it gets up in the air, it's just kind of like coasting.
Yeah.
So I kind of
Cool,
use
yeah, I
that
never heard that,
analogy.
but it makes sense.
Love
Brother,
that.
no. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of like you have to do a lot of work in the beginning that you're not getting paid for, so that down the
You
road,
benefit.
You can not
And
work
that's
as
like-
much and reap the benefits. Yeah.
that's like any. That's
It's like
any-
everything in
any-
life.
It's
Any
everywhere.
job, I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people just expect, especially like in today's world, expect those results immediately.
Oh,
So that's
it's
why I was just
crazy.
curious to see like if you found it just kind of came natural due to your background, or if you were like, no, I definitely had to put in a lot of like you're investing in yourself, a lot of time and hours
Yeah.
in research to be like good at what you do, and then you kind of benefit afterwards,
Yeah.
sort of thing, which I feel like you did.
Yeah, and it was just like a lot of just putting myself out there and doing it and failing, but just continuing to go. So that's like another thing that I find with any successful business owner. It's like we're all here because we kept going when most other people would have
Would
quit.
have stopped. Yeah.
Right? So it's like the only way to learn is to actually do it. And then for some people, unfortunately, they look at like an obstacle or a failure
setback.
as a reason to give up. And
Yes,
it's like, no,
yeah.
this is actually like, this is a way for you to learn. This is
Yeah,
like,
I love
it's like,
that.
what can you learn from this? How can you grow from this? And it's like failure is always a part of success. It's not.
It's a bump in the road.
No one that's successful has not almost failed.
Yeah, no, I love
you
that.
you learn the most like
In those hard times.
Yeah, in the hard times is when you learn the most about your business and about yourself and what you got to do.
What can I do to get over this hump right now?
Yeah.
Should I quit or should I figure it out?
Yeah.
You just figure it out.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want it bad enough, you figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. You got to want it. And you got to
Yeah.
truly believe that you will,
Yeah.
succeed in whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe, then you're not going to get there anyways.
That's true.
100%.
Yeah.
It's all about like the unwavering belief
Mm-hmm.
too. Like it's once again, like it's kind of like if you really strongly believe in something, and that's something I find once again, whether it's Arbonne, whatever business it is, it's like you could have a friend or your family members or whoever, a random stranger be like, oh, that's the worst idea ever. Like you're never going to succeed. And unfortunately, some people,
That's what they believe.
and then they're just like, okay, well, I can't do this. But I always like, this is how I coach my team. I'm like, you have to protect your vision over what you're doing and the life that you're creating the same way you would if you had like a brand new baby. If you had a brand new baby and someone came up to you and was like, your baby's ugly and it's never going to grow up to be successful or do anything, you would literally punch them in the face.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a baby.
It is your
You
baby.
always say that about the business. But like, this is our baby.
This is our baby now. This is
Yeah.
what I got to
It's your
focus on
baby.
right
You
now.
have 2 children.
Yeah.
You're Bliss and Chloe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So Chloe wasn't
Yeah.
the first one. No.
So yeah, you kind of have to have that like mentality or that belief and that conviction and that grit where when someone is like, yeah, your baby's dumb, you're like, excuse me? Like,
Yeah.
no, like my baby is beautiful and my baby is going to grow up
Like,
to
you'll
be
see.
whoever
Yeah.
my baby wants to be. Like, that's kind of how you have to come about it, you know? Because otherwise, yeah, unfortunately, the first person who tells you like, you're never going to be successful at that, then that's what's sad to see is that like I truly believe that every single person has the ability to create whatever it is that they want. Like you
It's
wouldn't
just other people.
Brings them down, right?
Gets in their
head, see?
Yeah.
yeah.
They're afraid
the
as well. A lot
naysayers,
of people
right?
are afraid.
Well, there's a lot of risk involved. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard to just go all in on something if you don't truly believe it. Then again, that's why they don't do it, because they don't believe that they can do it.
Yeah.
But if they believe they can do it, they wouldn't be
Yeah.
afraid of giving up their job.
Newfoundlanders
to do
are
it.
really negative too.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. Yes.
Just smaller town, people know each other. They know, like, say if you're branching out to do something different, like they knew who you were before. They had this vision of who you are, and then sometimes you fall short and you think that like, oh, maybe I am this vision that everyone has for me. But like, you can be whatever you want to be. Like,
yeah.
when I moved to Halifax, I completely like stepped out of my comfort zone because I was like, no one here knows me. I can be whoever I want to be, but I could have done that the whole time.
Yeah.
But you thought you
know?
couldn't.
But I thought that I couldn't because I was like, everyone has this image of
who
who I
you
was
are.
in high school or who they think I am, and this is like what I'm set in now. And I just, for some reason, felt like I had to leave to get out of that. And some people have to do that to get out of that headspace. But like, I feel like it's what you guys said, like, you know, people are just going to say stuff no matter what, and it's really just going after what you believe in. And
Yeah.
you are sometimes in your own way when it comes to that too. People they're going to say what they're going to say no matter
Regardless.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you're to or what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
true.
And sometimes it does come from like a genuine place where they're like concerned. Like if it's
Yeah,
like
they don't want
family
you to
or
fail
friends,
either.
Like they're like trying to protect you, but it's like, yeah, it's like just because like you can't dream bigger for your life or whatever the case might be, it doesn't like that's why they just kind of can't connect to it. Or unfortunately, a lot of people just give up and they just accept that like this is the way life is and whatever, you know. So then when you try to kind of like disrupt the status quo, it's like no, like don't do that. Like that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I got to reset my camera. It's a half-hour recording limit, so I just got
no
yeah.
worries.
1 second. You know where we left off? All right, sorry guys, my camera just had to reset it right quick, and we are going to continue on where we left off, wherever that is.
Status quo. We were talking about the status quo and how people like, you know, you disrupt it. And
Or particularly Newfoundlanders too. This is something, and I've learned this too from like my dad, who's had a business for like 45 years, a very successful business. It's kind of like I find sometimes, like of course there are lots of people who are very supportive of like your business, of my business, whatever here, which is amazing. But I find a lot like as a whole in Newfoundland, I think it's like in our culture or something growing up on an island, it's like this scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset, yeah.
Because when you
absolutely.
think about it, like years ago, before we had all these modern technologies and like new ways of transportation and stuff, there were limited resources.
It was scarce.
very competitive.
We're 10 years behind
So-
everyone else in the world too, right? So
Yeah. So sometimes I find that kind of creeps into business because it's like sometimes people feel like, oh, well, you know what? Like, well, if their salon succeeds, then mine can't. It's like, no.
There's enough
Like,
for
Or,
everybody.
yeah, like for money, they're like, oh well, there's like these 4 main people who are very rich in Newfoundland, and like if
That's all
they're
there is.
rich, we can't be rich, or like if one of them's not rich, then maybe I can be rich. It's like there's enough money and like resources, like you said,
For everybody
and
to go
information.
around.
Yeah, for
But-
everybody to go around.
But it's funny because they're right because that's what they believe.
Well, yeah, and
So
that's
like
how
they
it-
change their
But by
their beliefs.
believing that, they're creating that, and then no one gets ahead.
Yes.
You know what I
it's,
mean?
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
It's
there's
like a
another quote I
circle.
want to say right now. It's really like tongue twister, but let me just see what it is. I think it's like, I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. If that makes any sense.
okay,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's how everyone looks at themselves. Who
Yeah.
am I? Not who I think I am, or you who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Understand?
Yeah, I get
It's
that.
deep. It's like I was like when I
Let
first heard
that
it, I was
sit
like,
with
man,
you
that
for a
is
minute."
crazy. Like,
Yeah,
but it's true though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your
No, I
perception of a
totally-
perception, right?
Yeah, really.
That's
and
who you think you're
what
supposed to be,
embody,
who you
for
think
sure.
I am. So then if all these people think that you're supposed to be this failure or like whatever, then you're like, well, they're right. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's
who I
believing
am.
that.
Yeah.
For sure. That is a tongue twister, though.
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna have
is.
to
You
take
gotta
that-
you take a second, right? You gotta look at it
take
a couple
second.
times.
Take a second, guys. It's okay.
I forget the guy that he's a monk. What's his name?
A
I read
monk.
one of his books. I'll put it on the screen because I forget his name, and I got to give credit where it's due. So I'll put it on the screen. Continue.
But no, that's something else like I've noticed as well, and something that like has been one of the biggest things for me, like just growing up like as a business owner, is like protecting my energy big time. Like big time. Like I protect my energy like my life depends on it. Like I don't care even if I get the smallest bad vibe from someone, I'm like, nope. Like we're not, like I love you, I'll be cordial to you when I see you, but like I'm not going for coffee with you, we're not going for a glass of wine. Like I just can't. I don't know what it is. But then the other thing, because I used to like, I'm sure you guys feel this too, like you have like the haters or the like whatever, and I mean we all like, I don't know, I'm like, I don't want people to hate me. Like I just want to get along with everyone and support one another. So I can't help now. I've come to a very different place, and I'll get there. But even up until like the past couple years, like I would take it so to heart and just be like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that. Like, and then sometimes it would be like hate back to them and like, oh, well, you know what? Well, screw her. And
That's what it causes. It's just a friggin' back and forth.
Yeah.
But I've really come to like know this, and like I talk to my team a lot about this too. I'm like, you are going to have people right now that like you really love and you really care about and you wish the best for, who are not going to wish the best for you when they start seeing you succeed.
Oh, yeah.
You learn to get thick skin.
Yeah. But like the big thing that I've learned is that like it's basically because there is something inside of them that is being triggered by your success. So whether it's like an insecurity that they have, or the fact that they're afraid to go after what they want, or they don't think they're worthy of success too, or like whatever the case might be, it's usually like an insecurity or some form of like hurt and healing that they need to deal with. And unfortunately, like people like us who do have the courage to step out and work towards creating success and all that kind of stuff, like unfortunately sometimes we're the ones who they take it out on, because who else are they going to take it out on, or you know. So I've really come to that understanding. So now if I find out that, you know, so and so said this, or you know, someone's not supportive of me or what I'm doing or whatever the case might be, it's like no longer that feeling of like, oh, well, screw you. It's like, I feel bad for you. Like, I'm actually going to send like love your way, because you obviously need it. You're obviously hurt
you need something
somehow, or like something's going on.
Yeah, like you don't take it personal anymore. You kind of take it as, okay, it's a reflection of them and where they are, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And like you feel for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It's a really good way to look at it.
It is, yeah. That's really good advice for everybody as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Have you ever read The 4 Agreements?
No, I haven't.
It's on my list.
Yeah.
Me too. It's on my list. Yeah.
I actually read the whole book when I was doing cardio this summer, and I read the whole book in a day and a half, I think. And I ended up doing more cardio because I didn't want to get
how much
off.
cardio did you do?
I only
It's
was
a quick one.
I know.
think it's 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Adios.
No, but I didn't want to get off. I would get up in the morning and just start walking, and like I'd have the treadmill on slow, and I didn't want to put the book down. And the first, it's a little bit spiritual, so I was kind of like, I'm not really sure at first. And then when I really got into it, I was like making my own connections with it. But one of the 4 agreements is not taking things personally. And that's something that I struggled with so much, especially being on social media and like having negative comments and things, and people, like you said, that you love that say things that you don't expect, or like don't follow you or don't share your stuff or support. Like I was taking a lot of that personally, and then I read that about not taking things personally because it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And it just resonated with me. And I was like, even if you get the book and read that chapter about that, it's going to go with what you're saying like so well. But I was like, wow. And now whenever I hear something, I'm like, same thing. I'm like, that's like really unfortunate.
Something's upsetting them.
Like, or like, I wish they could support me. Like, or, you know, I'd love for that. But like, it doesn't mean I have to be negative and let it like be this toxic thing that consumes me too. And like, it's just not how I think, and it's not in line with what I believe, you know? And I feel like that's what you're saying now. Like your mindset has adjusted, and you're kind of like, I'm sending love their way because that's who I am. Yeah. You know, like just because they're this way doesn't mean I have to be this way. And it takes a lot to change your habits and your mentality.
Yes.
Like, you know, you're not going to just read the book and be like, I'm different today. Like, no,
No,
you're,
yeah.
you know, it's you have to coach yourself. You
It
have
takes
to
a lot to
coach
change
yourself
who you are like
to
that,
be
right?
like, okay, who am I? Like, what do I want to present and like project into the world? And like, what am I going to do? And even doing that, like sometimes you might change that person's mindset as well. Like they might look back and be like, wow, I really wasn't supportive, and no matter what, she was still just a positive person in my life. Like,
Yeah.
and if not,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, but you know who you are and you stand by that, you know?
Yeah.
But taking things personal when it comes to being present on media and starting your own business is something that people really struggle with. So
It's
I'm
hard
like,
at
happy that
first.
you touched on this, because it's so difficult, and I definitely still struggle with it all the time.
Yeah.
So
That's a big thing I've noticed, like just from literally mentoring hundreds of people. Like, unfortunately, it takes so many people out of the game because they do ultimately care way too much about what other people think, and they make it about them when it's really not about them.
no,
No.
not at all.
No.
So-
As soon as you stop caring what other people think, your life becomes way better.
So much better.
Yeah.
So
It's
much
crazy. It's crazy, but
You
it's
just,
so true.
I feel like nobody knows.
How?
Not even nobody, but like a lot of people don't know who they are yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It takes like a lot of self-discovery for someone to figure out who they are, and then once you figure out who you are, what other people think doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
No,
You
like
just
your
know what
values.
you want, you know who you are,
Right.
you know what you're doing, and you know you're doing good,
Yeah.
and you just work towards what you want, and then like it doesn't matter what other people think. You just focus on you.
You got to make
and
yourself
your
happy,
growth.
not all these
Yeah.
people that you don't even know.
Yeah, like, you can't rely on someone else for happiness,
Yeah, you are literally solely responsible for your own.
fulfillment.
Yeah,
you
like
have to
another
fulfill
point
your
in the
own
book
life. Yeah.
that I mentioned talks
Yeah.
about that. Literally, it's like you're responsible for your own happiness and nobody else is.
Yeah.
But like you did mention cutting some people out, or like not seeing people as much and like kind of avoiding that. Did you find that really difficult at first? Because I went through the same thing, and I feel like we're all kind of going through the same thing, because I feel like you're so used to having the same people around, and then as you grow, people don't always grow with you, and people don't take that very lightly sometimes.
No.
You know? So how did you find that, like really just removing that negativity? Did you get like a lot of
I
comments?
found it really hard with a couple of my best friends in particular. Like, I still have lots of friends that like I've been friends with since like elementary school, and we're still really close friends, and we're supportive of each other, and we keep in contact. But there was a couple friends that it just like that energy just felt like very heavy, and there really wasn't that support there. And it was kind of like, without them saying it, their actions were speaking the loudest. And I was kind of like, you guys are not happy for me at all.
It's almost like I feel like they think they're like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I think they know you better than you know yourself.
why
kind
can't
Yeah,
of.
what do you think
why
she's doing?
can't you just be supportive of what I want to do right now?
Yeah. So it was actually like really, really, really hard, but it was also one of like the biggest like pivotal moments.
Liberating, almost stepping away from it.
Yeah, because like the thing with like the energy that we hold in our lives, it's like there's only so much space for energy. So it's like whether you decide to allow people to take up space in whatever that space is for you with negativity or positivity, that's your choice. And so by allowing those people, like getting those people out of my, I don't want to say getting them, but like moving on and no longer having them as a part of my life, it was crazy because literally the exact same month that I did that, we had like reached a goal that I had had in my business for years.
Yeah.
So they were kind of holding you back.
So
a bit.
it
Covering
was
all
like,
of
it just opened up that energy for stuff that was out there waiting to manifest into my life, but it couldn't because it was taking up that space. But it was really hard. Like the best way to describe it, it was like a breakup.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've ever had like your heart broken or whatever, I'm pretty sure we all have. Like that's what it felt like. Even my husband was like, oh my gosh. Like I was literally on the couch for like 2 days crying as if like my boyfriend that I was in love with had just broken up with me. Like I was so depressed, and I still was like for quite some time afterwards. I'm at the point now where like if they pop up on like Instagram or anything like that, like I'm just kind of like, oh nice, like they're out having. But at first it would be like, oh, like that you'd still get that pit in your stomach being like, oh, like I would normally be there with them, and like I'm not at their birthday anymore, like stuff like that. But it was like I approached it in a way of just like I literally just said like I can't be in your life anymore. Like I can't have you in my life anymore. Like I have to put like myself and my family first.
Your
And
well-being first.
yeah. And I was just like, I was really like nice about it. And I was just like, I love you. I wish nothing but the best for you and your family. And I always will. But like, I just can't, like, I can't I can't hang out with you anymore. I can't talk to you anymore. And of course it was like, well,
They don't understand.
And so I just went back. I was like, once again, like, I love you. I wish the best for you. We can go around in circles all day long. I'm not saying that I did not play a part in this, because there's like two, you know what I mean? I was like, there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. Like, I don't want to go around in circles all day long, because that's exactly what will happen. But I've made my decision. I love you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's stuff like that still gives me anxiety now.
Yeah.
Like when things come up,
part of life,
and it's
though.
like
Conflicts.
things that fit in your life 2 years ago. It's like kind of you're looking at it now, and it's like your life has leveled up
Blossomed.
or moved.
You've
Yeah,
grown.
and it's just like it doesn't fit anymore. And I still struggle with that a little.
People have a hard time like
Yeah.
letting
It's not easy.
that go, like when you grow and understanding, and people changing too. Sometimes people won't jump and do the things that they want to do because they're scared of change, or like they're scared of what people like have them set as. And it's like, you're actually allowed to change.
Yeah.
If you want to wake up tomorrow and be vegan, like, you're allowed.
Yeah.
Like, who cares, like, you know? But it's like, it's oftentimes what people think that you are. Going back to that same point, that's like, you feel like you can't because you aren't, because they think that you're that. And it's just like, it's exactly what you said. And it's
Yes.
same thing with like letting go of like people in your lives, like, or letting go of things that no longer serve you.
Yeah.
And that may sound selfish, but it's true. It's like, we're all in our own worlds. We're all the core of our own world. So like, if you are at this point and you became best friends with somebody because you were living this way and they were living that way, and you've grown into something else, like, it's okay to walk away from that, because that's not who you are anymore. And you're allowed to change who you are. You can literally be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
And they may not like that, or they may still be in this place, and like, that's fine. But like, they'll find people that are doing what they're doing.
Yes.
That fits what they're doing. And like, similar to a breakup, like if you break up with your boyfriend and then you start living the way you want to live, and you don't run into that ex-boyfriend for years, well, clearly what you're doing and what he was doing is not in line.
Yeah.
Or you would be banging into him every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you clearly are growing past this. And if you don't run into those people anymore, well, you're living the life that you want to live, and they're living theirs, and it just obviously isn't on the same path anymore.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have heard you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And it's like no true words. No
Yes.
true
So
words.
true.
It's so true.
I
If you
agree.
hang around with like millionaires, you don't think you're going to become a millionaire? Like, you know what I mean? No, but it's a fact.
It's so true
is
though.
true.
I'm telling you the
pick up
truth.
I
on.
just know him so well. Tony says these things, I just laugh.
I would, like,
Why
I'm
do you think
waiting.
that's funny?
Because you throw in these facts all the time, and they're hilarious, but they're so true. Like,
I threw it in because it related to what you said.
I know, it's just
absolutely,
so
yeah.
funny.
Don't mean to interrupt, but do you have to leave too?
I have to leave by like 2:15. Yeah.
Okay, it's 2.
Okay. So
We
got
can
like
clear it
Okay.
up.
No, I just didn't want her to be late or
I
whatever.
said you had to leave
Daycare
it
closes
too.
really early.
So, do you have any tips for anyone starting out with Arbonne?
Or any business.
Or any business, I guess, really, yeah.
Yeah. Well, really, with any goal in life, I would say my biggest tip would be to stay consistent. It's not about like one big action you're going to have to do, or like some crazy like life-changing thing. It's literally just like the little tiny things that you're doing every single day
Yeah.
that are gonna add up to those like big wins, right? Like
One brick a day. A brick.
Yeah, because I find that, like, you already touched on it, how like in today's world especially, people just want this instant everything, because we live in an instant world.
It's an
Instant
instant gratification
gratification.
world, man. Likes and comments and
It's
like
so true. Or like, you know, you go on the internet, and if a page doesn't upload in like 2 seconds,
Done.
you're like, what's taking so
Yeah,
long?
refresh.
It's like, you're like, that signal just went all the way up into outer space and back to Earth again. Like, just be patient.
it is crazy
Yeah.
to think about.
You know what I mean?
Amazon Prime got us ruined.
Yes. So I just find that, like, you know, everyone sees like the highlight reel and stuff, which is amazing, but then they expect that to happen overnight, right? So I find, for me in particular, like, I'm very upfront with people, and I'm like, listen, like, it took me like 5 solid years to get to the point where like I could truly say like I'm successful. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was 5 years of like grinding, of sacrifice, of, you know, like countless failures, of like everything you could possibly imagine. But like I already said, we're the ones who keep going when most people would quit. And
Yes.
I say to them, for us in particular, like, one of the great perks as a VP with Arbonne is we have our VP, what is it called? Something award. I don't know. It's basically the money they give you towards a Mercedes-Benz. So I'll say to them, I'm like, listen, like, you're not going to work for the next week, and like, they're not going to drop off a car in your driveway. Like,
Yeah.
if it was easy, we would be giving out white bicycles, not white Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
So like,
Exactly.
you have to just like, you
Doesn't exist. It does not
No.
exist. It's impossible.
And it feels so much better when you know that you put everything into it. Like sometimes that instant gratification is just instant. It's exactly
And then you're
that.
chasing
And it
something
goes
else.
away.
It goes away, then you're looking for the next one.
And then then you're waiting for the next thing and then the next thing, versus when you work for something and like you finally like sit back and you're like, whoa, like this happened. It's like you think about the years that you put into it, like, and like you said, 5 full years. There's so much more to it. It's making that switch in like your job. It's just, you know, deciding what you need to do with your friends and your life, and, you know, growing and trying things out and failing. It's all of those things like add up to that big picture, but people just forget that sometimes it takes so much more than like what they expect, I guess.
Another fun fact, everyone says.
Here we go.
Everyone says, you must have heard that it takes a good 5 years for any business to like get to a point where it's like, finally.
Yeah.
Right?
Peace.
And it's true.
Yeah.
I feel like people think we're rich, and I'm like, girl, you probably got more money in your bank account than I got.
But everyone's definition of rich is different too, right?
We're-
We are rich, like
we're-
when it comes to like how happy we are.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you know
we
what I mean?
love what we do, and we work every day towards it. But like I reinvest so much money.
I was gonna
into
say,
this
you're
business.
constantly investing. I feel like that's all I see or hear you guys talk about. It's like, okay, we got this. Like,
What the
Yeah.
vision
can
is.
we put this back in?
We have our weekly salary that we pay each other or ourselves, and the rest is just the business. Like, I don't care if the business makes 4 times this week what it made last week. I'm still only paying myself this much. What can we do with this?
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reinvest.
Well, we're not 5 years in yet. Like, we're only just over 4 years. So like, yeah, we have way more now than we did, but it took
gonna
a
be a
lot
lot,
of time
yeah.
and a lot of work. Like, we started my salon in my basement.
Yeah.
I hired people in my house, and then in my room. Now I hired people I knew.
but still,
But still, then I opened a salon with 4 people, 1,000 square feet. Like, you know, it takes time, but people come in here and they're like,
Consistency.
oh my God, look at the salon. And they're like, it's so big. Oh my God, she's rich.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm like,
also it took
No.
it took you like I'll say 3 years, was it, before you start actually paying like yourself?
Probably 2. I just started paying
And I only
myself.
just left my old job
started paying
because it
myself
took a while.
before COVID happened. And then COVID happened and I got pregnant. So I kept paying myself.
But what I'm saying is you had to work for free for like 12 hours a day for like
Yeah,
you
it was
know,
a lot
2 or
of
3
work.
years,
yeah, and
which
it's
not a
like
lot to
the
do.
time that you
You,
invest,
yeah.
like when you're studying things or algorithms or whatever, it's like people don't realize like that's actually work. Like you're taking time away from things that you may be relaxing or like with friends or spending money and going out. Like maybe it's for you, but it's still work. Like it's still like you're still, you know, getting
just-
And like
information.
you, same thing. You worked your full-time other job and worked at home for free, really, at first, because
You gotta work for free
had
for a
to,
while.
Yeah. Yeah, but they don't. A lot of people won't.
You're like, this is cute.
Right? But still, I still had that big vision. I still had that, and I'm sure you did too, or you
Yeah.
would be where you are today. Because
Yeah.
you have to have, like, so many people want the results to precede, like, the work. But that's not how it works.
Possible.
Like, you have to do the work first, right?
Yes.
Like, you have to, like, it's, what is it, you know, like, I'm going to be like,
I got a fact here too. I think you're gonna be the same
You
thing.
can't, like, you know, you can't see it to believe it. You need to believe it first to see
To
it.
see
Okay, that's what I was
yes.
gonna say, but I got
Yeah.
something else.
Right?
I'll say put the work in, the results will follow.
No. In order to achieve something you never had before, or get something you never had before, you have to do something you never done before. Right?
But yeah, but like
Fun
so
fact.
many of my team, like I shared it on our
Yeah. You were where they are. Yeah.
Mhm, absolutely.
like, no one starts an Arbonne business and Arbonne's like, oh, you know what? We're just gonna give you a raise and go pick out your Mercedes and like you're gonna like no, it doesn't work like that. Everyone starts as a team of one.
Yeah.
Everyone, like every business, you know, so many businesses, like Amazon started in like a garage.
Garage selling
Yes.
books.
And, like all
Patience.
Unless you're like, you know, like one of the Kardashians. Okay, well, fine. That's
You get lucky maybe.
Yes.
There are very rare
Yes.
occasions.
Yes.
But it's just
But
that,
even
like,
then, like they maybe like their parents or whoever probably started from something smaller. Like it all stems from
Yeah.
one person making a difference and trying to change. Yeah.
and then
Brick by brick, yeah.
And yeah, like
You were hungry. You wanted it.
You just stuck with it.
Consistency and patience. You could have said,
But
"Oh,
people
I'm going
only
to
see,
stop
a
now."
lot of people
Well, you
see you
showed up
now
every
as
day.
well, and they're like, oh, she had it easy, right? It was easy for her.
yeah, or
But it's not. And nobody knew what it was.
Because you have me.
Literally.
It's already established now.
And I feel like in today's society as well, like network marketing is just more common anyways
Yeah,
than it was back then too.
For sure.
it's
Yeah.
so massive.
Yeah.
But
And so many more resources now.
yeah, and it's also evolved a lot, which is really nice. Like it's basically the same as like influencer marketing now, really. It's like attraction marketing. It's none of this like, hey, you want to look at my business? Like the messages I was getting when I first started my business, which that was fine, that worked back then, but it doesn't work now. Like two really great book recommendations for like anyone who's running a business, especially particularly if you're online. Digital Persuasion is one.
I've seen that one.
And Know What You're For. They're like
I'm going to go buy those later.
they're amazing books, like especially for like the way that business works now today.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the way that even I was taught to run my business like 7 years ago, I have like for like our getting started and stuff on our team, like the things I was taught to do, I have like in bold asterisks, like do not do that. Like
Yeah.
don't message people and ask them to take a look. Like don't do these things.
Yeah.
Like because the world
Nobody-
has just
it's
Just
like
like
nobody-
show them. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody, like, I feel like I still get some messages from some people sometimes from different things like Arbonne, but it hasn't been Arbonne. I don't even know what it
probably
is.
because they're all terrified of me. I'm like, do not ask anyone.
I-
They're like, okay.
But I like don't even open them most of the time.
No.
I'm just like,
No, it's like intimidating
I'm
kind
like,
of.
I don't
for
even know
some
what that
reason.
is.
We got about 4 minutes left. I'm sorry. I know this is a sick conversation, but
I don't know. I feel like we could talk to each other all day.
Oh, this could go on
We
and
always
on,
feel
yeah.
that way on these things.
This
Yeah.
is so fun.
one more quick question before you go, and we'll definitely get you back.
Okay.
What is your everyone's definition of success is different. What's
Yeah.
yours?
Ooh. My definition of success, I think ultimately is being happy. I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants to be happy.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I always say, like, as long as I wake up every day and go to work and not really work, you know what I mean? You're not.
Yeah.
You're just having a laugh. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Enjoy what you do. That's
Enjoy what you do. Enjoy who you're spending your time with. Like, and just not having to answer any, like being able to live life on your
own terms.
Yeah, like put your happiness first. Let the rest kind of.
And put other people first too. You know what I mean? Like that's another incredible gift that this business has given me. Like first off, when I had my son, that was amazing for us all to be home as a family. Like that was incredible for not only me as a new mom, but like my husband as well. And like our son. And then like I have a father who's been extremely ill. So it's been amazing that, you know, times when he needs me or my mom needs me or like I don't have to go to a boss.
Freedom.
And be like, yeah, like, so it's like, yes, being able to put yourself first. And more importantly for me, being able to put the people that like I love first.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, like, yeah, it's not really like, yeah, fine. Like it's great to have a nice car and to have like, you know.
That's just what comes with it, but that's not the
Yeah.
true goal.
Yeah.
It's the
not.
happiness behind
Yeah.
it.
It's just happiness and freedom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No
That's
doubt.
a good answer. All right, guys, this is a really good conversation, but unfortunately we have to wrap today up. So thanks for coming on,
Yes,
Rebecca.
thank you. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, this is
fun.
amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'll definitely get you back for a part 2, I think. I think
Yeah.
there's still much more to talk about. All right, so thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Leave a like and comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Peace.
I feel like I'm in like a wind tunnel or something.
Like, I don't want to talk about it because
We'll cut that out.
Never mind. But it's the same thing, though.
It is.
I'll cut this
yeah.
out. But man, it's true, man.
I'll tell you all the tips that we have learned. Okay, take 2.
Every
You've been doing good lately.
I was so ready for that one. That was a good one.